Hey, what's going on, DDO players? Axel here, another forum talk video for you. And I didn't know if I was going to do this in more of my standard format or traditional format, or if I was going to do a forum talk kind of format for this. But I decided to go with forum talk because there's just a lot more to say on the community's reaction than the actual data we have, or not data, but the information we have. But bottom line is there are more epic past live feats that have been announced. And let's just go over them real quick here, and then we'll go over some comments of what some people in the community are saying, and I'll go over what my opinion is on this and my thoughts on this. So we have a post here from one of the developers, and basically we have one additional past life for each of the epic destiny spheres. So here we go. So Arcane Sphere. Arcane Past Life Stance, plus 3 MRR per stack of this past life. So you can get these 3 times. So that means you're going to be able to get from this past life plus 9 MRR as an active toggle. And for the passive bonus, you get plus 1% elemental absorption, basically acid, cold, electric, fire per stack of this past life. So you can get up to plus 3% absorption of elements and plus 9 MRR if you have 3 stacks of this and you have the toggle on. Divine Sphere, the active toggle is plus 5 positive, negative, and repair healing amp per stack. So that's up to plus 15 for plus 3 for the active toggle. And for passive, you get plus 3 PRR per stack of past life, up to plus 9 PRR if you have all 3. Martial Sphere, the active toggle is plus 2 to tactics DC and plus 1 to assassinate DCs per stack. So if you get this 3 times, that's plus 6 to tactics DCs and plus 3 to assassinate DCs. Passive bonus, plus 2 AC per stack of this past life and plus 1 AC per 10 character levels. Finally, Primal Sphere, you have now can get a plus 2 to attack per stack of this past life. If you're fighting in two-handed style, you also gain plus 2 damage. So get that 3 times. You get plus 6 to attack. And if you're two-handed fighting, plus 6 damage as well. Passive bonus, you get plus 3 maximum HP and plus 4 per 10 character levels. So, it's more past lives. I'm actually not very surprised personally. I was kind of expecting this because it's been a while now since, I don't remember when, but it's been a while since they introduced racial past lives. So we've had, the game started with heroic past lives, and then we moved on to epic past lives. Then we had iconic past lives as well. And then we had racial past lives, and now we have more epic past lives. We've also, in that span of time, we have completionist with heroic. That was part of the original reincarnation system. We have I believe we have racial completionist, and we do have epic completionist. I don't know, I might be missing one, but yeah, that's a lot of past lives. And someone else in the forums threw up the total. I think there's a total of like 147 total past lives you can get in the game now, which is pretty nuts. I mean, considering where they've gone with this, I don't know if nuts is the best way to just describe it. It's just a reflection of how long the game's been around. Okay, I guess before I go into the comments here, I'll go ahead and give my opinions on this. So, I personally, I quit reincarnating several years ago. I believe I have 12 total past lives on my character, and after that, I was pretty much done. When I first started reincarnating, I actually didn't even care about the past lives. This was freaking like 7, 8, 9 years ago. I just reincarnated every once in a while because I wanted to play through the game again because it was so much fun. I didn't really care about the past life feat. But when we got epics, we got Medicine and Arc and all that. I did do several epic past lives just to get some cool stuff like the plus 9% double strike, and I think I did 3 others. I think I got Colors of the Queen and Embrace and a few other things. But essentially, after I got really the few things I wanted, I pretty much just said, I can't do it. It's just not worth the time for me. And I know for some people they really love reincarnating, and that's great. But for me, it felt more like it got to a point where it felt like a chore. Like I don't really want to run old content anymore. I mean, I would run it, but I don't really. I ran it so much back in the day. I just don't feel the need to run the old content over and over and over. I'd rather stay at cap and just play the new content when it comes out, and kind of engage in raiding, because that's what I like to do. So for me, it was not something I really cared too much about doing, especially anymore. I really don't care about it. As far as I think the community's response to this is that, here's the thing. There's a thing going on in DDO where, for the older the game gets, kind of the more of a divide there is between new players and veteran players in terms of power. And this is the major downside of the reincarnation system, is that the great thing about it is it gives you a reason to continue to play on your character, and continue to be able to advance on your character. And it's something that has been, I think, very successful in keeping the player base playing DDO and keeping the player base engaged. Reincarnation is something that a lot of people really love to do. They like the idea that they can just continue to play their favorite character and continue to gain power. Now, the problem is that in addition to this creating this divide I mentioned between new players and veteran players, it also makes a divide between your main characters and alts and alt characters, because you get to a point where the thing is, grind time is not an infinite resource for people. People have a finite amount of time, so at some point you have to give up on alts in order to keep up with getting all these past lives. And when it comes to balance, they're of course going to take these into account when they balance the game. It's not like they're going to take them to account, of course, when they kind of design your kind of standard difficulties. I know they don't. From what I've heard, they don't. I can't say I know. That's probably too strong of a word, but I don't believe they would ever, like, say for like legendary normal rating. I know it's been kind of a topic people have been talking about lately, but I don't think they design things like legendary normal raids to take into account people having past lives. I do expect that they do keep these things into account when they design like Reaper mode and stuff, which is kind of the thing where Reaper mode becoming more and more normalized. People may feel more and more like they have to get certain past lives. And in the game, certainly there are certain past lives like you need. If you want your character to function in Reaper, like especially if you're a caster, in your DC caster, like you have to get past lives. Like there's no way around it. Like you have to do past lives to hit the DCs and to get your DC spells to work. It's just the way it is. So I think the concern from the community, and definitely from the comments I have read going through this thread, and we'll go through them here in a minute, is that this, like, it's more grind, and it may seem like a bonus, like you're getting a bonus to a character, but is it really? I mean, are you really getting a bonus if what's going to happen is these past lives are going to be more or less required to run the same content you're running now? But I mean, I'm not saying, again, I don't think these aren't going to be required to run like your lower Reapers and stuff, but they're probably going to be required to run if you want your spells to work and things to be effective. Like some of these bonus here, like the Primal Sphere. With this, you can get an additional. We're introducing another +6 tactics DCs into the game. Are you going to be required to get this past life and have this toggle on in order to get your, stunning blow or whatever to work and Reaper 10? Yeah, probably. I mean, I would assume so. I mean, like Reaper 10, you should have to have pretty much everything in order to, be stunning that content, stunning mobs in that content. I know that probably isn't the way it is, and I don't know if that's the way it works right now in the game, but that's probably from a design point something they would strive for. So that's the downside of it, and it's not really going to be a bonus if you're going to have to get this stuff to have your character function in the same content it's functioning now. Now for me, my whole outlook, as you guys know, is I quit reincarnating. It's not something I enjoyed doing anymore. Maybe I'd do it again sometime in the future if I had some real life friends who really wanted to play through the content. Maybe I'd go back to level 1 or something, but unless my mind changes. But I really don't want to do it anymore. And my whole thing with my whole opinion of these new past lives is that I understand where they're coming from. It kind of sucks because it's probably puts more of a gap between where my character is and where the top characters are going to be. But at the same time, I've kind of accepted the fact that I don't have the time to reincarnate, and that's fine. And if I'm going to be stuck, running the lower Reapers for the rest of my DDO playing career, that's fine. I'm fine with that. If I never play Reaper 7, 8, 9, 10 and can never beat that content because I don't have the past lives, that's totally fine. I totally understand it. And hopefully these past lives are more something that's going to be required if you want to kind of dominate and be really good on, I don't know if dominate's the right word, but if you wanted to be able to be really viable at like Reaper 10. Hopefully that's what these past lives are for, that you have to have these in addition to all the other past lives that are available in the game. So yeah, so that's, we'll see what happens, but let's kind of go down now and we'll go through the comments. Okay, this is kind of a comment I wanted to get to. So here's what this person says: more power creep, more grind. Very disappointed with this, to be honest. I'm fine with you improving and changing the Epic Destinies, but adding 12 Epic Destiny, which by the way, they did do a bunch of Epic Destiny changes, which I'll probably do some videos on that this week if I get time. But let's continue with what this poster is saying. I'm fine with you improving, changing the Epic Destinies, but adding 12 additional past lives that apply from level 1. Come on. Don't we already have too big of a difference between new and veteran players? Do we really need people to chase an additional 12 past lives? Very bad move in my opinion. All right. So here's the thing with the past lives. And some people are like, we have so many. Do we really need any more? And while I totally understand, and you guys have already gotten my opinion on them, I understand players being frustrated that they have to grind more past lives, or if they feel compelled, like they have to, if they want to, they're going to feel like they have to if they want to compete in the same content they do now going forward, because, with the Reaper 10s and stuff are probably going to be balanced against it, especially in terms of DCs. My opinion is I kind of agree with the developers. While I don't like that more past lives are coming to the game, I get where they're coming from. The thing is, reincarnation, guys, is a huge part of DDO. It's one of the core features of DDO, and it's something that players are really engaged in. And every once in a while, like every few years, they're going to introduce more past life feats. Why? Because people like to reincarnate and people need new carrots to chase. They need to have that hamster wheel for people to run on. It's just the way it is. I understand how it's frustrating that divides new players and old players, but they can't just stop. They can't just cancel the reincarnation system and just stop adding on to it just because people don't want to see that separation happen. Now, being concerned about that separation is totally fine, but we don't have to destroy. We don't have to stop, like cut off the reincarnation system to solve that problem. There's ways we can help reduce the gap between new players and alts and veteran players and like your main tunes without just gutting reincarnation. We can do things like, say, look at random loot, maybe make random loot better, more competitive. We can look at making things easier to obtain. So maybe make, like one topic that's going around, maybe make legendary normal raids, especially the newer raids, a little bit easier so new players can kind of get in there and kind of get some better gear. Maybe do things like that. There's some other solutions people have talked about. Maybe make some past lives account wide. Maybe do things like that. But as far as just cutting out, like stopping reincarnation and stopping the process of giving players new past lives to go after, I don't agree with that. While it's something I'm not going to do, I'm not going to go grind those past lives. It's something a lot of people like to do, and they want to keep people engaged. And it also makes sense from a business standpoint, guys. Like Standing Stone can't just stop adding past lives because they don't want people to finish their characters and then quit. Like, what happens when people finish their characters and have no other characters to chase? They get bored and they quit the game, and they have to keep people engaged, keep people on a hamster wheel, and keep people playing. So it only makes sense from a business standpoint for them to continue to add on to it. And I know a lot of people will complain and say that, oh man, it's going to be 12 more lives before I'm done. Like, I would go ask some of those same people do you really want to be done, like quote unquote done, and want to quit the game? Because I think for a lot of people, the fun of reincarnation isn't so much being done, it's the chase. Like, you should have fun. It's the ride, not the destination, right? You should have fun with the process of grinding out stuff. I know when I used to grind stuff in the past and in other games where I used to grind things, the fun of it is kind of the process of improving your character. And once you get done, you're kind of like, you're kind of bored. You want another carrot to chase, So I think that that Standing Stone's kind of in a can't win scenario here, because let's say they stopped reincarnation and people, the player base was done. And I think we've seen that in the past where players have been done where they haven't added on to the reincarnation system for a long time. People will be complaining that, hey, Standing Stone, we need more stuff to do. There's nothing to do in the game. We're bored. We would get that. And we have gotten that in the past in the forums where people are complaining because they're bored. There's nothing to do. So it's like Standing Stone can't win. But I think they should continue to add on past lives, just because while it does increase that divide between new players and veteran players and alts and main characters, there are other ways they can tackle that problem, like some I've discussed here and some that's people discuss in here in this thread, without just stopping reincarnation, adding on to reincarnation, which is probably the most successful system ever in DDO, like probably by far. Okay, so enough of that. Let's go ahead and continue with more comments. So here we go. More players being kind of upset about killing alts. This poster says, also, thanks for killing alts even more now. I was actually planning on rolling an alt as DPS, but why bother when I also lose out on potential 6 tactic DC compared to others? So, yeah, so that's the whole thing where people feel like compelled, because one of these past lives they're adding in adds another 6 tactic DC. So he feels like, why create an alt when I just have that much more of a grind to catch up to kind of your veteran characters. And I think the other thing is there's a opportunity cost here. So say like you want that 6 tactic DC on one character, like why there's an opportunity cost in that. Why would you waste time grinding that out on an alt? Why wouldn't you spend that time instead improving your main character or grinding that out on your main character? Okay, so this poster continues. Oh, I can just grind 3 epic past lives to get it. No thanks. Epic reincarnations are so mind-numbing, not going to bother with it. Yeah, fair enough. They are if you do them too much. Like I think I did 7 or 8 epic past lives before I was done, and they do get mind-numbing, especially because you can only run the content so many times, right? And especially if you do them back to back to back, they can get really mind-numbing. So if you want to do a lot of past lives, maybe it's better to switch from some epic past lives and then do some heroic past lives. Or maybe go to 30, do an epic reincarnation, go to 20, and then do a heroic reincarnation, go to 0 if you can, if you're not an iconic character. Okay, so if DDO was a game where 1 toon per account was enough, sure, but DDO is not the populated game it once was. Having alts makes playing in groups much more viable since you can fill multiple roles. That's a good point, but you seem to make the difference greater and greater. Yeah, and that's true, because back in the day when Cap was 20, it was really easy to say you could have your bard and have your healer character and have your DPS character. Like it was really easy. Like healers, for example, back in the day when we just had heroic reincarnation, it was really easy to gear a healer for in-game. You really didn't have to do anything. Like all the healing is so inherent that you really just had to level a cleric to 20 and throw some decent gear on, and that was pretty much it. Like you didn't need much. So it's true that with more epic past lives, you have more people focusing on one character. So instead of having a pool of characters, it makes it harder to fill full roles, because so for me, for example, I only have my cleric really that I play anymore. So I'm not running my I used to have a cleric, I used to have a fighter, Kensei fighter, I used to have a rogue, I used to have a wizard, used to have a sorcerer, but now I just focus on one. So if there's already 3 healers in the raid, I can't really join it unless we want to kind of hurt the group, because it's not like I can just jump on my Kensei fighter because I don't run that character and keep it up with the meta anymore. So that's a good point. But I think that this comment in particular kind of asked the question why, and I think I've already answered that. Why is because they need to keep players engaged in the reincarnation system, and they need to give players continuous reasons to continue to play the game. So I guess to summarize here, I just hope that they can introduce some things in the future to help alts. I think one idea that was mentioned in this thread was account-wide past lives. I think that's a good idea. I think that maybe looking at random loot and maybe making some improvements there is not a bad idea. So hopefully they can kind of balance this and expand the reincarnation system, but at the same time, kind of help alts and new players a little bit more. Just do stuff to make it more accessible. Hopefully they can do that without making all the grind that players have gone through for past lives feel worthless. And I know that's like a really hard thing to ask. It's a really hard thing to balance. It's a balance nightmare. But I do think that a lot of the concerns thrown out by players here are very, very valid. Although I don't think what they want, which is not to have these past lives introduced, is the right way to go about it. So guys, let me know what you think. I think, yeah, let me know what you think, guys. Do you agree with me? Do you not agree with me? What do you feel on this topic? Let me know. I would be interested in reading that. And yeah, guys, I think this is going to be it for this video. I will see you all next time. Have a good one. Take care.